Alright, so welcome to TougeSW. This is Series 4, Episode 9. I'm titling this The Downgrade, and you'll see why in a moment. This is live every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Normally it's on twitch.tv at Wandering Raven. All episode is definitely on TougeSW on the main website, which is TougeSW.com. As listed here like multiple times. Okay, so let's move on. I'm Wandering Raven. I am the host of TougeSW, or Southwest. I'm going to call it Southwest because that's what it's meant to be. And do excuse me because a couple nights ago I had a acid reflux that happened, and my throat's been burned up since then, so I might be a little scratchy tonight, and that really sucks. But it is what it is. It's part of the perks of conquering cancer. Anyways, like I said, cancer survivor. I'm born and raised here in Las Vegas. I've been here. I did move up to Oregon in 2010. If you want to know the whole story of what happened, you go to vegashackwear.com and you can grab one of my books. I'm working on the second book, so the first one is ready. It's been live for 3 years now, so. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell. If you want to learn more about me, I want to learn how I was pushed out of Oregon, it's all in the book. So, yeah. But TougeSW as a thing. But before I get to that, what is TougeSW? I'm going to go back to me because I drift, I hack, I play video games. So I drift a 1987 200 SX S12 Sylvia, which started with the VG30, now has a C18 DET, which is a turbo motor. It's a smaller version of the RV looking motor, and it's a JDM motor. It is from Japan, so not the Europe one. It's actually, I know it kind of sounds weird, but the motor sets are kind of different in both areas, and I think in Australia too. But let's see. So that's what I drift. That's what I've been working on. So I'll be covering more about that tonight. But when I say I hack, basically pick up my book, vegashackwear.com. You'll actually learn I'm more of a cybersecurity focused person. I do currently work as a systems engineer, but with a giant, huge love for cybersecurity. I've been going to DEF CON since '98. I've been doing a lot of cool things since then. You know, hacking things is what I like to do. And I might actually do another episode of Vegas Hackware tomorrow night. So keep your eye posted on that one if you're interested or anything else. So today's date is 1/22/2026. So okay, now let's move on to what is TougeSW. As noted before, I was up in Oregon from 2009 to 2011. During that time, I got to be part of a community called Touge Northwest. I got to participate in Oregon Drift and DriftX events that happened there in Hoodoo and places like that. And basically, that same team is what also started the whole drifting at Park, PARC, which was really cool. I was really glad to be a part of that whole situation there. You know, they introduced a new motorsports to a go-kart track that's been around for like a long time. But regardless, it's so TougeSW is actually, I was actually forced out of Oregon. I was held against my will. I was pushed out. My life was threatened, and my career as well. So yeah, 2 for 1. So I had to come back to Vegas because I had nowhere else to go up there. I had no family up there. The only family I had was down in Vegas, and they helped me basically moved back. Either way, it was, I wanted to bring Toge Northwest with me, but once I came back, they started to disband, pretty much, and whatever's left in Oregon was named as the Friends of Central Oregon, which I think a lot of that has died away at this point. I think they still have a meet every now and then, but it's not like it used to be because a lot of people has moved on and nobody else to carry the torch and try to keep promotion or keep growing. Matter of fact, they probably, because I know a few people that actually like passed away in that group and moved out of town, moved away, and but it's still the friends you meet, you know. I'm pretty sure if I come back, I can probably reignite it. But until then, I try to bring Soga Southwest here. I try to do the same thing. So it was like it didn't really work out like I wanted it to. So I ended up turning it more into a blog. That's why it says like events in Central. I mean, some events in Vegas, Arizona, California, stuff like that. I wanted to cover more of that. I wanted to build like a little community from it, and but kind of lost because Vegas is much more of a different beast. It was really hard to grow without doing some type of networking. And when I started trying to do networking, a lot of things were dying away. You know, and I guess when things start dying away, it's just that's when things happen like that, you know? And it is what it is. So I turned it to blogging, and then from there I went from a little bit of blogging to car building, and then from car building it went all the way to this is a podcast basically. Let's say that like millions of times. But regardless, yeah, it was like more like I needed something to help me with my cope with my loss because I lost my mom back in 2019. My last drift event was then because a couple nights before she passed away, my engine blew up and I had no way of basically moving forward from that, and especially it ruined my life when she passed away 2 days later. And coping with that loss, it was really, really hard. So I ended up doing making this as a podcast because I want to get back into it because it helped me. It's like my therapy. Drifting is my therapy. And everybody knows that I get really happy when I'm doing it, and even my mom knew that. So, and yeah, so that's the whole point. The point is to get me back out there again, help me hold accountable for what I do to my car, how I do it, how I could share my knowledge to everybody, and why I do things and how I do things. And I like to be thorough with stuff. So, and then you add a hacker mind to it. Instead of hacking computers, now I'm hacking a car, which is cool. It's like, hack the planet? No, we're hacking the car, bro. But yeah. So that's what it's turned into. We're in season 4 now, so all the past episodes is back on TougeSW.com. And so that ends What is Touge Southwest? Now let's go to our past events. Last weekend we did a car meet. Let's see. I posted some images. I'm going to open up my Instagram. All right, so here. This is what happened. Did this. We went, basically it's a small car meet. We went to a place called Tamales. I forgot the whole name, but I took my S12 out there. It was my 86. meant for daily, but I do have a differential that I need to upgrade this on and refurbish and weld. So that's something I'll end up doing probably in the future as a backup car for making sure I have that. So all right, so I took my car. Let's go back. Here's some cars. This is a beautiful pink. I love this. And they have the rainbow road underneath. It was really cool. But yeah, that car is really cool. Then you have some of these other ones too. Really cool people. And yep. And that's how I ended up getting this. Hopefully. Let me double check. I can. It is. Yes. Like every time I go to the meet, I get something cool, and I wish I could share something back, but I don't know what to do yet. So, and got this cool one because somebody made like a little keychain for 10mm, so you don't lose your 10mm. Very cool. And on top of that, got this thing called Garage Nights. Another keychain. Very gifted. Yeah, they're a bunch of very gifted people. It's very cool to do stuff like that, you know. And hopefully, so. All right. So before I move on, that's the past event called Garage Nights. It's a ladies only event, so it happens once a month, which is really cool. It kind of brings back the whole Tuggy Northwest kind of feel in a way, but this ladies only. Sorry, can't invite anybody else unless you're a lady too. Yeah. But anyways, let's go to my project status. Alright, as of last week, I tried to, I installed 1000 cc's, the injectors, DW 1000 cc's. As of last week, I said I was going to do the stuff, but I was having problems. I was having a lot of problems. And because I went from 550 to 1000, what I didn't know was... Alright, so what I didn't know was... There was like, let me see if I can pull that up real quick. There it is. Alright, so I made it a post on Facebook because Facebook is still like well, it has its own thing, you know, and it's whatever. You can weed out all the freaking politics and shit and mute people that talk nothing but shit about politics all the time, so I'm just there for the groups and the biggest drifts, so it is what it is. So here's when I made this post, I let them know exactly what I have. I went to DW1000. Apparently that's a red flag because it's very, very finicky with Nistune. So I tried every different ways of troubleshooting it. So I'm pretty sure Bosch does work better. They're probably using high impedance and stuff like that. I didn't really want to mess around with that anymore because I'm tired of taking chances. I'm tired of going around, seeing what I can try and not try and keep buying new things and whatnot. So I made this post. Yeah, I understand that this tube type board motor is really struggles to operate injectors bigger than 550. So I mean, if this person's right, then, you know, I'm already a tech person. I already know exactly what it's like when you try to run like an NVIDIA 590 on an old, very old two core CPU. You know, that's technically what it is in a way. You know, you're trying to run a very big video card on a system that was meant 30 years ago. I should have just had a Voodoo 2 on it and call it a day. And what I try to do is, of course, you can't put that video card in that old of a system. Technically, that's the analogy I'm trying to go at here. That's what I did. And basically, they said get a Type 3 board because, you know, think about it. Newer processor on the motherboard of the ECU will actually process things better and different. And they say S14 Zenki. That means S14 never came with a CA18 DET, so that'll be an SR20 board. So, like, I can't just go on something like this and say, sure, I'll just get a board and plug it in, and it still doesn't work because you have to repin something, and because they didn't say that here, but they assumed that I already knew, and you know, I didn't want to deal with that. So that's an ECU problem. That's a red flag 1 right there. Number 2 makes sense. 1000 cc's does seem like a little too big for the motherboard itself, so that makes actually good sense. A lot of people have problems with DWs anyways, but that's with NIS tuning DWs and low impedance versus high impedance. That's basically how people are putting it down. So if I've had a Bosch high impedance and eliminate that stupid injector pack, I probably will have no problem. Probably doesn't mean I will. I mean, so yeah, they try to help me out with everything that I've already been through. I didn't want to respond to all that, so I made a nice little post of thanking everybody. I'm just going to do 2 different things here. So this is where I decided to go, you know what, I'm going to downgrade. I'm going to do something that I know works. And if I know that works, it's a good investment to go that route for now, because another route would have to do what they call a different ECU called Megasquirt. Megasquirt 2 I have already. I had no idea what I was going to do with it. I thought about doing the modernization for an L20E, but I decided, nah, never mind on that, because there's like other ways of making that happen. So especially when I could probably pick up a different one. So thanks to Nico Club still being alive, they have a whole write-up on how to do that. So I just need parts, and when I talk about parts, I talk about parts like these. I'll need ignition parts for the Ford EDIS4, which comes from a Ford Escort. I'll need the plug wires. I'll need trigger wheels, crank sensor, coil packs, and the module. I would think those are called wasted spark, or the coil packs. So technically I have to do that. I already have this thanks to my last project. Coolant temperature sensor, already have that installed. So technically I have everything already needed. I have the wiring already because I have the wiring set up. I just have to reconfigure it for Nistune. Or actually, I was just gonna make a jumper harness, go from the Megasquirt to the actual harness itself. So, and just run a couple extra wires. I would still need to find a stimulator, which I would have to actually just buy the kit and do that. And then, of course, configuring everything else to go the way it should. But that's more money than I would have to spend. So if I'm going to do that, then of course the bigger turbo is going to win, and the 1000 cc's will work. And on top of that, I don't have to worry about math anymore. Math is gone. And then I would just run this whole setup. Basically, air, fuel, and fire. And bigger turbo, I could just adjust air and fuel mixture all day long, and it'll be just fine. but that's for Mega Squirt. And I didn't want to do that. Not right away, because I know that whole Ford stuff is not easy to come by anymore. I don't see Ford Escorts in the junkyard anymore. So yeah, that's the main issue there. So I decided to go, here's what I'm going to do. I'm downgrading. So now we get to the project stratus of why we're downgrading. We're downgrading because we know that 550s will work with a smaller turbo. And now if we go back to my Instagrams, I found the two kits. Basically, instead of top mount, it'll be bottom mount, so that'll open up areas right there again for basically mounting everything. And the turbo is a lot smaller. It'll be a lot easier to handle. Yeah, I went that way. So then, of course, I had my alignment done because it was a 3-day weekend and they were available. Oh yeah, I did get some cool shoes. When I talk about cool shoes, I'm talking about these. These little roses. I just got to figure out how to break in Doc Martens because they hurt the top of my feet. But yeah, I was testing turbo, I was pulling turbo out, I was trying to figure out exactly what I needed to do. Yesterday I pulled the turbo, tested the turbo. Turbo is junk. So, so all those turbos that I had, the T25s, they were both broken. One has play, the other one doesn't. The other one actually has blown seals. Definitely worth rebuilding, but I want to start something from new. So I scored a new turbo, and it's not eBay. So that's actually good. It's a brand new turbo. Let's see. That's 5 hours. Error. Let's see. I need. All right, let me open up this and I'll show you what I'm picking up. So, that being said, I'm getting a T28. It comes with a Megan racing downpipe, which is this right here. This should still bolt up to my bottom. If not, I might have to drill the holes just a little bigger, but with the downpipe, with the freaking -4 AN oil feed line, that's the top. I think this is the bottom area. With the restrictor bolts, so that's good. New gasket, that's this here. This is, I think these are studs? I don't know. With the -10 and drain hole. Oh yeah, this is probably the bottom. And the other side is probably the smaller one that already has it. So that's probably going to be a really good setup. So yeah, this is a turbo from an S15, brand new, ready to roll, ready to install. So the reason why they're getting rid of it is because it doesn't work with their FJ20. FJ20 is a really cool motor. And then I made this today. Really cool. I have stickers idea for that. But yes, that is the progress. That is why I'm downgrading. I'm downgrading No, that's not the reason why I'm downgrading. I'm downgrading because I want practical. I want to go back drifting. I can't go drifting if I keep on jumping on something that I make that potentially might work versus something that will work. So we know 550s or 450s will work with a smaller turbo, smaller, quick spooling turbo like a T28. That means the boost is going to be a little lower, but I'll have to actually learn how to control it with that extra wastegate on the side, right, like that. I do have a little oil leak on the side of one of the gaskets, which is either meaning that it's loose or I need to redo the gasket, which means I need a new gasket. So yeah, we gotta fix that oil leak, and then the lines. I'm still taking off one last freaking bolt on the exhaust manifold so I can get that completely off. And I have to actually weld on a bung to my pipe instead of on that actual pipe itself. Is the bung for the wideband. That should help me tune it better. So there's that too. But yeah, it's basically the idea is we want to downgrade because we want practical, we want reliability. And if this means that I'm not going to achieve that 400 horsepower that I was told it was going to be, if it goes down to like 250 or whatever, this car has never seen above 160 horsepower. So anything above that is probably going to be a huge game changer. And since everything that I've learned so far with Nistune, I'm going to be able to lock in this turbo, and I'm going to lock in the whole everything else into it. Basically, I'm about to max it out on that Type 1 board until I get Megasquirt ready. And you know what? This is great because now I can learn my motor even more, and I can actually drive the motor while learning the motor. And if I can do that, I can understand everything, how it runs, how it feels, and basically level myself up to that motor and basically earn my Megasquirt upgrade in a way, where I need that upgrade, where I know I progressed far enough with this motor that it's time for that upgrade. And I know if I do that, then I can actually really rework a lot of things. So I'll just have to actually build the parts list and start buying things here and there, little by little, and then we'll upgrade later on. I might actually, maybe I'll pick up a bigger turbo later on. That's actually a quick spool, big turbo, or maybe there's a top mount that I would like to go, or maybe the small mount I can actually just boost up the boost on it. I don't know. A lot of things I could do. I just know that's my practicability. Is like I want it to be reliable to where I can take it to work a day, drive it everywhere around town, drive it to meets, go to the track, rip some tires again, just like the old days. This time with a practical motor that actually works. And since I'm downgrading the turbo itself, that whole water to air intercooler is going to be the best thing for it. So I'm actually rather excited because I know I'm going to get this working. And once I get that turbo in, it's going to be a great thing. So that's the status. And yeah, this is time for any Q&A session. If anybody out there wants to learn anything about S12s or car culture in Vegas and whatnot, it'll be a good time to talk about it. But on that, this is pretty much the end of the podcast here. So yeah, it's about almost 30 minutes in. All right, so I'll keep an update on everything that's going on. If you want to learn more what's been going on, or if you want to see updates, or the Vegas Drift event this weekend. Yes, the Vegas Drift event that's happening this weekend. I'm going to be there depending on if I have to pick up the turbo in the morning. I might be there in the afternoon, or if I pick up the turbo the day before, let's say they decide to come in Saturday instead of Sunday, then I'll be there early morning, and then I'll probably stay until like maybe noon or so. But other than that, that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than me installing the turbo, I got the dash too. I got the whole digital dash setup that I need to finish. Actually, I could probably, once I prep everything now, I could probably start doing the wiring and start prepping it now and start doing the whole wiring situation. So yeah, it'll be a fun time. I don't have a way to stream me in the garage, or I would probably do that. Other than that, that's pretty much it. So have a good night. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll be back tomorrow. And depending on how I feel, I might throw in a special hacking podcast called Vegas Hackware, which is I don't know what to give the title or whatever, but we'll see what's going on. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out, and have a good one.